Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be opening up 3 Greenlight 57 Plymouths. They're all Belvederes. They technically would be a Belvedere Sport Coupe in the second and third version here. So tell you a little story here. So this is a Norman Rockwell version of 57 Plymouth, which is pretty awesome. So that's pretty cool. It's Christmas time. I thought this was a great time to open this up. It's nothing new. I've seen other people open these, and I've seen them loose. They're pretty cool. But as far as the second and third, so in June of 1957, it was the 50th anniversary of Oklahoma joining the Union and becoming a state. And one of the things that happened was that in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they bought a 1957 Plymouth. And if you Google, by the way, if you Google Miss Belvedere, Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Tulsarama, that you can find this on the internet very readily. So as I talk, I'm gonna open these up. But the story is that they bought a brand new 1957 Plymouth Belvedere Sport Coupe, and they actually made a vault by the courthouse in downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they buried this brand new 1957 Plymouth in the ground. Oh geez, this is an eBay purchase, and I'm kind of bummed that there's something going on with the paint here. Oh, what can you do? I bought it months ago. I'm just opening it up now. So they took this brand new 57 Plymouth, they buried it under the courthouse in a big concrete vault, and the whole idea was that it was going to be a time capsule. 50 years later, it was opened. I was there. I drove from Massachusetts all the way down to Tulsa in June of 2007. I actually drove down there with 3 friends. My friend Andrew, his girlfriend Jessica, our friend Tall Paul, and it was myself. Originally, I was going to drive my 1959 Buick down there, and that just kind of never happened. I had some issues with water pumps that summer. My car was essentially the daily driver, and of course, the timing of it was such that I kept having water pumps melt down, and I couldn't take the 59 Buick. We drove down in a early 2000s Dodge Intrepid, or it might have been 99. But we actually took a Mopar down there, so that kind of worked out. It was an unforgettable time. The most epic road trip I've ever taken to date. From Chelmsford, Massachusetts, all the way down to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we actually zigzagged quite a bit and hit up way more states than we would have if we went in a fairly straight line. So it was pretty amazing. Unfortunately, all my photos are lost from that road trip, but the memories remain. Anyway, the sad reality is that the concrete vault was severely cracked by jackhammering that happened when they were fixing the sidewalk in the road in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right at that courthouse in the 1980s. And so what you see here, so again, we have a Norman Rockwell Plymouth. It's pretty cool. It's got the wreath. And then we have the brand new 1957 Belvedere Sport Coupe. And then this is essentially the car as it came out. They tried to replicate it. It didn't quite look like this. I was actually there. It had a rusty layer that was almost like a orangey tan rusty layer of scum all over the entire vehicle. The recorder panels are severely rotted. I mean, they tried. This is pretty cool. It's close, but not quite. Anyway, the point of the story is that it was the road trip of a lifetime. It was an amazing thing. And of course, despite the car being in terrible shape, I wasn't really disappointed. Some people were heartbroken, but I was realistic. I mean, I knew that there was a good chance that this thing was going to be horrifically rusty because it had been sitting under the ground for 50 years. So I wasn't all that heartbroken. I knew to expect that that could be a reality. And also, it was just an amazing event. I met people from all over the world, including some people from Norway and Sweden. A lot of people drove their classic cars thousands of miles, as I had tried to. Initially, we actually broke down with a, again, water pump that was bad. And we were only about 40 miles away from home, so that was that. We turned around, and that's why we took in my friend's Intrepid, which was the backup plan anyway. That was plan B. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And again, trip of a lifetime. It's pretty neat seeing that car come out of the ground. If you look up the story, they tried to restore the car, which I thought was stupid. They should have put it in a glass vault and just well, I don't know. I did like the idea that maybe they could put it back on the road and it could be a functional vehicle, but I definitely immediately thought it was a terrible idea when I heard they were cutting up other 57 Plymouths to scavenge parts to try to bring the car back, even though it was horrifically rusty. From what I saw, I mean, there was eyewitness accounts of the attempted restoration of this car that said that the paint was holding parts of the car together, where everything else beyond the paint was just crusty, flaky rust underneath. So it seemed like a terrible idea. But that's the story of Miss Belvedere, and I was there, and that was absolutely an awesome investment of money because, like they say, you never, those memories, you get to keep those forever. I sold my 59 Buick a few years later. That was a bucket list item. I always wanted to have one 1950s car, and I picked one of my all-time favorites. And as far as these cars, you might be familiar with the term forward look. Of course, the 57 Plymouth was very famous. One of the most famous things with the 57 Plymouth is that there was an ad where they showed the front. There's a few different variations of it. There's one where they show the front, another one they show the front and the side profile. And it would say, it said, suddenly, it's 1960. The whole idea was that the car seemed so ahead of its time. And I gotta say, even as somebody who, I love 57 Chevys, and I love 50s cars in general, I love General Motors, but in 1957, the Plymouth made the 57 Chevy look absolutely outdated. Even though it didn't have quad headlamps, they did have the inboard turn signals, on the inside, so it made it look like it had quad headlamps. The tail fins were bigger, taller, more dynamic. The roof lines, I mean, everything was absolutely rocket aged and amazing on this car. The way the bumper was integrated, it was just an absolutely gorgeous car. And then, of course, we have the other thing that makes the forward look Plymouth famous. The other reason why it's become such a cult classic, and that's the movie Christine. And speaking of Christine, so by the way, that's my backup. That's the one I'm keeping in the package of the Miss Belvedere as Shoes Unearthed. Auto World did a beautiful job with these guys. I love the green lights and all, but I prefer Auto World's iteration of the forward look Plymouth, which theirs is a 58. That way they could pay homage to Christine. But here's another green light. This one is a, what is it? Red Crown Gasoline Edition. Again, 57. And here's a Johnny Lightning. Some more Auto Worlds. Another green light. This is a Black Bandit. Probably won't open that one just because it's, I don't know, that looks awesome in the package, but I don't really need one of those loose. If anything, that's the one I'm going to leave in the package. This one definitely will be opened at some point. So this one is essentially like Spectra Flame, but you know, Auto World doesn't call it that. I think they call it red chrome, but it's beautiful. And that's Christine with the tinted windows. Sort of, I guess you could call it an evil mode. But so yeah, you could definitely call me a big fan of the forward look cars. I've always been a Mopar fanatic to a degree, but never more than, nothing's ever been more appealing to me as far as Mopar goes than the 50s, 1950s finned forward look cars. Those definitely are, and they're by far what I enjoy the most about Mopars. So here you have a big lineup. Here's 2 Auto Worlds, 3 Greenlights. I do plan on opening up more Greenlights and Auto Worlds in the future. So I'll have better review videos, or maybe I'll do some more comparisons. The Auto Worlds, by the way, have opening hoods. And again, those are 58s versus the Greenlights are 57s. And of course, these both are Furies. So as you can tell, the trim is different, tail fin. Now, actual real Furies, they only made in 1957. They didn't even make, excuse me, 57, 58. They're both white. Different variations of white. I believe one was like a white, the other one was ivory, if I remember correctly. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong on that, but in any case, they definitely never made a red Fury like Christine. And by the way, M2 also has made a beautiful version of the 1958 Fury. Here's one. I cleaned the tampos off of this one. It had some drag racing decals and whatnot on it. And up here we have a, I don't know, some kind of weird, like a rose mist metallic or something. That one was pretty cool. Again, big fan of the forward look cars. Here's a Dodge. They need to make more Imperials in general. I don't know if M2 can step up, or who could step up and make some more forward look cars, and especially, I would say 57, 58, 59, and 60 Imperials. Those would be awesome. 61 as well, of course. But so that's a little look at the forward look Plymouths, and specifically, even though I'm showing you for comparison's sake the M2s and the Auto Worlds, specifically, these are Greenlights. And by the way, I really do appreciate things like this that Greenlight has done in recent years. This is very cool. This is an absolute must-have for me. And again, I had to chase these down on eBay. This one, which is also a double, I wanted one of each carded, which is rare for me that I have to have something left on a card. These days I'm doing that less and less. But my friend Jeff got me the clean Miss Belvedere. And I had already tracked down 2 of the you know, after the sort of after cars. The way they came out, the way she came out of the vault. All, again, rusty and covered in a layer of just sort of rusty, muddy salt. It was sad to see, but again, it's pretty awesome to see all these car fanatics together. So I didn't think it was my road trip was not ruined by Miss Belvedere being horrifically rusty and essentially beyond saving. It should have gotten dried out, preserved, and just put into a glass vault right in downtown Tulsa. I still can't believe they didn't do that. But I don't know, whatever. So she's in a private collection, I believe, at this point, or it might be in a museum at this point. I can't keep track anymore. There's all kinds of clickbait that shows up on car sites about it as well. I sort of wish this car was red or blue. Red or burgundy would be perfect. That wreath would really pop. Christmas colors, obviously. Red and green. But it's pretty awesome being teal. Alrighty, so that's a pretty long video for me, and my friend Chris is always telling me to narrate things and talk about some of these cars, tell you some of the stories about them or the history. So there you go. 1957 Plymouth Belvedere Sport Coupe 2-door hardtop. One of the best and one of the most famous of the forward look cars. Love them. Love every little detail. Greenlight did a fantastic job with these.